Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As part of my responsibility to determine the fitness of all nominees who come before any of my committees, I ask the following two initial questions, and if we can start with Mr. Shoemate and go right down the line. Since you became a legal adult, have you ever made unwanted requests for sexual favors or committed any verbal or physical harassment or assault of a sexual nature?
No. No, Senator.
No, Senator.
Mr. Eisenberg, have you ever faced discipline or entered into a settlement relating to this kind of conduct?
No, Senator.
No, Senator. No, Senator.
This is for Mr. Eisenberg. There have been calls, including from the authors of Project 2025, which I think is generally seen as a blueprint for this administration. But Project 2025 calls for the revival of the National Security Division of DOJ to revive the so-called China Initiative. If confirmed as head of the National Security Division, do you plan on reviving the China Initiative, yes or no?
I plan on looking at whether something like that should be stood up again, but I don't have any concrete plans about that.
Do you have any concerns about bringing back that initiative? Do you have any awareness of what that initiative led to?
I'm sorry.
In terms of the litigation that arose from the China Initiative during the first Trump administration? Just tell me yes or no if you have an awareness.
I did hear of some of it, yeah.
Okay, let me just say that the program was supposedly about countering Chinese government espionage and intellectual property theft, but it drifted far from that purpose. Instead, it focused largely on university professors, most of them of Chinese heritage, who had alleged paperwork errors in grant applications. And the Department of Justice, which usually has a really great track record in convicting the defendants, many of whom plead guilty. But in the case of the China Initiative, the conviction rate was very low, practically non-existent. So for the dozens of cases against basically Chinese professors that the DOJ brought, most of them were tossed out for lack of evidence. And we know that the China Initiative was misguided, a waste of resources, and seemingly based more on the ethnicity of defendants whose lives were in many ways just destroyed by DOJ going after them than on the crimes they supposedly committed. So I would say that if you're going to look into reinitiating the China Initiative, I would look at the history of this initiative and do not go there. For Mr. Shoemate, you defended President Trump's birthright citizenship order as though by waiving an executive order he can get rid of the provisions of the 14th Amendment. You defended that order to get rid of birthright citizenship, and the judge that decided case called the argument that this order that Trump made blatantly unconstitutional, and the judge had difficulty understanding how any lawyer could make the argument that you were making. And 3 courts of appeals have refused DOJ's request to stay, so there are some pending TROs. The administration then went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has not weighed in yet and set a leisurely briefing schedule, suggesting that the Supreme Court doesn't consider the government's defense of the order to be worthy of quick consideration, which makes me wonder whether you are prepared to argue before these courts what one court already said were blatantly unconstitutional order. So, Mr. Shoemate, is that what you're going to keep doing?
Senator, thank you for the question. Since that first hearing that Senator Durbin referenced earlier today, the department has filed many briefs explaining its view of the 14th Amendment and the legality of the president's birthright order. Because it's pending litigation, it wouldn't be appropriate for me to discuss the merits of the litigation.
I think that, you know what, I have to say, Mr. Shoemate, that this is one order that was just, there's just a lot of precedent for birthright citizenship and for you all to spend your time and resources going after this as a way to make a point, political point, basically, is not the way that I would expect the Justice Department to comport itself. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr.